Hey guys, welcome to Tyson's Fitness Tips podcast. If you want to lose weight, increase your energy, improve your health and fitness, and look your best, then you have come to the right place. My name is Tyson Brown. I'm a personal trainer, and my job is to help you transform your body by sharing with you the most up-to-date information on health and fitness. I'm going to distill it all down for you into bite-sized actionable steps that you can take immediately to see results quickly. Now, every Tuesday and Thursday, you can expect a brand new episode, which will be a mixture of interviews with top experts from around the world in the fitness space, and as well as solo episodes from myself, sharing with you exactly what action steps you need to take to transform your health, your body, and your life. Also, don't forget to listen all the way to the end of the show, because in the middle, I'm going to share with you a time-saving tip, and it might just be a game changer. I know you're short on time, and this one can save you a lot of time and a lot of energy. So, let's get into the show. Alright guys, what's going on? It is Tyson Brown here, and we are back with another episode of Tyson's Fitness Tips. Now today I have got a very, very special guest with you. This is actually one of the guys who has taught me a lot about the health and fitness industry, and someone I've been following for years. So I'm really, really happy to have him on my podcast. A bit starstruck actually. So I want to introduce you to him. His name is Even-esh, and he is a strength coach. So Zach, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you've been doing, how you actually got into being a strength coach and what you do at the moment?
Nice, brother. Thanks for having me on, Tyson. Man, when I do these intros, I feel old. I start going way back. So I'm 41 now. Been doing the training myself. Started training when I was a thing. That was, I kind of put it into words like it's the thing that saved me. The tough times I went through. Found myself really by going to the gym. So when I was younger, I would just get dropped off at the gym. I would train, then I would do my homework at the front desk, and I would just be amongst the weights. I remember the one manager said, he's like, "You doing your homework here?" I said, "Yeah, man, I just, I couldn't put it in words." He goes, "I got you, man. You just want to be amongst the weights." I was like, "Yeah, that is it. Just hearing the weights clanging." So fast forward some time, I graduate college, and I'm a teacher. I'm a phys ed teacher, and I'm teaching at the elementary school, coaching wrestling at the middle school, the high school level. Then I got my master's degree, started teaching a little bit at a junior college, continued coaching. And what happened is in those years, like the 90s, the kind of training we see now, we didn't really have that knowledge because the internet was new. Really this kind of functional type of training was kept, I guess, to the inner circles of college strength coaches or legitimate sports performance coaches. Everybody else was kind of stuck in that bodybuilding world, which was me, and came about with a lot of injuries from it. And then in my mid-20s, tore my ACL. And that was the thing that set me on this nonstop mission, this relentless pursuit of excellence of how do I help these young athletes avoid the mistakes I went through, which is training very hard, but training the wrong way and amassing injuries, or training very hard and then it doesn't actually improve sports performance. So into my mid-20s, just started training some local athletes out of my parents' garage, out of their backyard, and started learning a bit about the internet, and I was so passionate about it that I began writing about it and taking photos of the training we did, and it started to kind of catch on, and other people started emailing me and requesting me to write more because they saw us doing things like traditional lifts, deadlifting, and power cleans, and benching, and chins and dips. Then they saw us training at, photos of us training at a playground where we're pressing picnic tables and carrying stones and climbing up the side of like poles of swing sets to work grip and pulling power. And this is like 2004. Okay, so this is a long time ago. Maybe even by the time I probably started putting the information on the internet around 04, that I started training in this kind of style around 2002. And it just kind of caught wind, and the more people told me they want to learn more, the more it inspired me to put my information out there. So that evolved from training athletes out of my parents' garage to the first home that my wife and I bought, training athletes out of a 2-car garage, and then multiple gyms. So now I've got a couple of gyms. It's called the Underground Strength Gym. And that first one basically started from my parents' garage. And right now we have 3 locations. At one time I had 4. And also now training the wrestling team, Rutgers University, which is in New Jersey, which is a big, very tough wrestling team, real high level. So, my thing really is I'm always just trying to be a better coach. And that's what keeps me inspired versus, I've been doing this for a long time. I've got 20 years, 30 years. I know everything. I never feel that way. Like every day, what inspires me is when I'm coaching each group of athletes is how can I make this kid better? What can I learn from him? And how do I make him better and then make the next group better? And that's what's made everything so exciting for me, where I've seen a lot of coaches come and go. Like they don't have staying power because they don't know how to find the inspiration that comes from outside as well as the discipline from within to push yourself to constantly get better. So, the way I train, it tends to evolve as I gain more experience. And, I passed that 10,000 hour rule a long time ago, probably like I've been training day in and day out other athletes probably since 2002, 2003. I mean, anywhere from like 5 to 7 days a week I'm coaching. So, and things change. The world changes. Kids change. Athletes change. So it just excites me to keep getting people better, man. That's like, there's nothing complicated about my passion behind it.
That's that's really cool. It sounds like obviously you've got a lot of experience under your belt in different areas of your life, especially like different areas of coaching people. But just so we can clarify really quickly, when you say athletes, who do you determine as an athlete? Because some of my listeners, they might not be an athlete, but they think about like how can they improve their health and fitness. Do you the way you were talking about training, like when you were training in the park, you were doing things like that. You were doing like functional exercise, and were you noticing those people were still getting stronger from doing those type of things?
Yes, so that's the thing. So I'm 41. For the majority, of the athletes I work with, they tend to be anywhere from like age 10 or 11 up to college, so early 20s. And then sometimes we'll have the athletes who are preparing for Olympic trials, so they're going to be early to mid 20s. But here and there, I train adults, and everybody's an athlete. I don't like to say, you're not an athlete, you are, but things certainly change when you get older. Meaning, it's not so much, Tyson, they change when you get older. It depends how long you've been training for. So I'm 41. I've been training myself since age 13. So that's like 28 years. Somebody like me who has all that mileage on the body, I get a little bit more beat up from things. So I may not do all that jump training that these younger athletes are doing. But if you're a little bit older, you might have to, your pace and everything has to just get adjusted. And maybe the way you do the exercise is maybe not as explosive because you maybe been out of the training. So meaning, whether I'm training a 30 or 40-year-old, like when I train at the university, the head coach trains with us. And if I'm 41, he might be like 43, maybe 44. I said, coach, there's going to be times where like, I don't want you doing all this jump training because that beats up your Achilles, your calves. It just beats up your body, and you've been training for longer than these kids have been alive. So you can't, I always tell people, you can't try to always train the way you used to.
Yeah.
Because that's how you get hurt, and that's how you lose sight of what is possible. Marty Gallagher said this to me as well. He's a world-renowned strength and powerlifting coach. He said, you know why? He's in his 60s. He goes, you know why I keep getting better? Because I never say, oh, this is what I did when I was 20, so that's the only way I could train. or this is what I did when I was 30, or if I can't do that, then I'm not training at all. So as your body evolves, whether it's from age, whether it's from a new job, a new career, stress in your life, as your body evolves, your training must evolve. And then, a big reason why I started training athletes out of those playgrounds and parks, at first I wasn't like, oh, this is better than free weights, or this is better than this or that. I started training those guys when the internet and fitness and strength and conditioning were just going crazy with the fads. So it was like, you got to use Indian clubs, or back then it was called club bells, or kettlebells is the thing, or the Bosu ball is the thing. And you got so caught up in that stuff, and that stuff was expensive, right? It was freaking expensive. The first 2 pairs of kettlebells I bought costed me $550.
Whoa.
This was at a time when I was in serious debt. And I remember I was like, holy shit, I'm spending almost $1,000. And I was like, this stuff better be like, and I remember carrying the weights from the person's house. He was a kettlebell instructor, so he got a discount on them, like 10% off. And I remember when I was farmer walking the 53s, I was like, holy shit, these feel heavy. I probably shouldn't have even bought the 70s. Those are going to feel like the house. And I remember farmer walking them to the car, and I was like, oh, man, I can't believe all that money. But I still have those 53s and 70-pound kettlebells, some 15 or 14 years later. And anyway, the training at the park with the body weight and the stones and pressing picnic tables and all that, like, I didn't do it because I thought that was better. It was like I didn't have the money to do what I saw the top coaches doing. So the top coaches had these functional training machines. They had all the stability balls, the this, the that, the bells, the whistle. And here I was, some dude training athletes out of a garage, out of a backyard, and I felt like it was Rocky 3. When Apollo takes Rocky back to the tough gym, and he's like, we got to take you back to old school. And I was cool with it because this is an interesting conversation we're having, because I saw the kids winning more, and I saw them getting more confident. Self-confidence, not just in sports, but they just had a different confidence about their life. These kids were starting, they were like, you know what, I'm going to get a job, or you know what, I'm going to apply for this college. And I saw them being more forward-moving in life. And I just had a conversation with one of the coaches on the wrestling team, and he goes, man, we really appreciate how open you are with communicating with us. I go, yeah, that's the way it should be, because it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with these kids and the team. I don't need to be in the spotlight. I don't need to be in the limelight. I don't need to have the accolades. I just need to see these kids succeeding more, because I'm providing this strength and conditioning, this strength and performance training. And when I say the strength, I also don't think about I'm just helping them lift heavier. I want to train them in a manner that takes them out of that comfort zone, that boosts their confidence, that boosts their toughness, and that makes them feel like they could just take on the world, that they could crush it in sports, they could crush it in academics. So when I train athletes, I look at, that's a big reason now why I look at training with those, outdoors, the playgrounds, the stones and all that, because that takes people out of their normal comfort zone or out of the normal gym environment, and it empowers you. There's this kind of intangible thing that's hard to describe and hard to put into words, but it empowers people. It makes them feel free, and it makes them feel stronger when they're doing things that are just outside of traditional training methods. And that's why I don't discriminate against anything that works. So, okay, if this thing works, I'm not going to be like, well, I'm just a kettlebell guy, or I just believe in powerlifting, or I just believe in Olympic lifting. I believe in anything that gets you better, as long as it's, ethical and safe, obviously. Those are the things, obviously, that I'm looking at. But I'm not going to be closed-minded, because as soon as I say I am good enough, or this is the way we train, then I no longer have the right to truly be a coach. Because a coach should always be seeking out how do I make them better, period. Not, this is my, you got to be flexible. Your philosophy has to be ready to evolve. And that's what inspires me to keep going after almost 30 years of training. And even when I was in high school, my classmates would be like, Zach, write me up a workout for baseball, write me up a workout for football, all these sports they were playing. And then I would just, instead of being a better listener in class, I had a notebook and I was writing out workouts, and then I'd hand them a piece of paper in the hallway and it said, day 1, day 2, day 3. And it's like, man, here I am, 20-something years later, writing workouts for people.
Still doing the same type of thing, right? Just loving it all the time, making people better, like you said.
Just a different, just in like a different capacity. So sports have certainly changed, obviously, since I've been younger. But that's kind of how I look at myself. When I say I'm a strength coach, I'm not just like, oh, I get kids stronger. That's what you see on the surface. What's more powerful is what happens, outside of the gym walls through getting people stronger. And that's, that it just keeps me fired up, man. Keeps me going.
That's awesome. And so are you talking about doing that, like, doing the outside functional exercise? You said, even though the strength coaches had all the fancy equipment and you were still getting your athletes stronger, like, people can go and still get stronger by doing outside activities, right? Like, that's what we want to... I'm just trying to explain to people they don't have to be inside that gym environment.
Check this out. There's, you're in Australia, is
that
where you are, Tyson?
Yeah.
It's summertime for you right now.
Exactly.
And it's winter here. But when the weather is warm, I take the athletes to the park across the street from one of my gyms, and we do sprints, we do squat jumps, we do lunges, we do partner wheelbarrow where I hold your ankles, you walk on your hands. We do pull-ups on the swing sets. We jump on and off the picnic table. We do, Bulgarian split squats with the back foot elevated. We just go out and we train outside. In fact, what I was doing this year is we would play like an ultimate football where, and what happened was they didn't realize what I was doing with it, but this got them sprinting. It got them working their agility. So they didn't realize that I was building them up through sprints because they're playing ultimate football, which is like ultimate frisbee, but with a football. So everybody's the quarterback, everybody's the receiver, your offense, your defense, you're running all over the place, and you're jumping. So before they knew it, it was like they didn't realize what they did. We would farmer walk the kettlebells to the park, then we would do the game, then we would do some kettlebell work, like squat, clean and press, row, 5 reps each, run over to the playground, do your pull-ups or your recline row, run over to the picnic table, split squats, and then run back and do, those 3 different stations for 3 rounds. Carry the kettlebells back to the gym. Then we do some deadlifts or power cleans or benching, and, we do the barbell basics, and then they do sleds. So you mix in that play work. And right now, at the age I'm at, 41, and my friend does this too. You know what he says? My friend Jim Steele, I've interviewed him a couple times on my podcast. He goes, training is training. So when he trains, he said he gets bored. So he'll do this. Let's say he'll do like squats, and then after every set of squats, he'll go to the punching bag for 30 seconds and work the bag. And he'll do that for 10 sets, like squat for a couple reps with heavy weight, punch the bag for 30 reps. Then he'll go and do maybe like curls with like a different kind of bar, and then he'll push a sled or push a weighted wheelbarrow. So he's not like, oh, it has to be with a barbell. He's like, sometimes I'll just do like kickboxing and Muay Thai or boxing on the bags, because when you get to a certain point, it's like if you're working hard and you got good technique, everything's working. It all helps you get better, and that's training. Training is just what gets you better and what makes you excited to be strong. Do that. Do those things.
Tyson's keto myth number 2. A lot of people think that they're in ketosis when they're really not.
In order for you to know that you're in ketosis, you actually have to do two different things. Number one is you measure your blood ketones by getting a ketone monitor, or number two is that you have to pee on strips. You can't think you're just in ketosis because you're in a low carb phase. Low carbs does not mean ketosis. There are two different things you need to be focusing on there. Ketosis means you're consuming ideally under 30 to 20 grams of carbs a day, and people don't realize you can actually go over that just by eating starchy vegetables alone. So a big myth, people think they're in ketosis when they're actually not. They're actually just following a low carb diet. So go get yourself a blood glucose monitor if you want to be really certain, or track your food to make sure that you're not actually consuming too many carbohydrates. That is keto tip number 2. Speak to you next time. You're right, mate.
Excited to be strong. Do that. Do those things.
Right. And it's just, like you said, doing that, like there's a couple things I wanted to get back to there where you said about the training once you get better in the technique. So obviously it's that consistent effort is what people need to be putting in the gym more than anything. Is that right? Like being consistent with your training, being able to come in or just, not even train, just exercise in general to be able to improve and get stronger each time you're training per se. Yeah, that's what I always preach that because, like you just say, if you don't take care of your health, all of a sudden, let's say you get sick and you can't go to your job, then you can't produce income, and it just turns into a spiral effect. Like people don't realize that their health is what gets them to wherever they want to be, whether it be work, whether it be anything like that. It's kind of like a car. If you don't take care of it, and that's your main source to get to a job, like what are you supposed to be able to do if all of a sudden it breaks down? And a lot of people take care of their car more than they take care of their body. Like, getting the oil checked, how often are they actually checking themselves?
It's really about, we're in this era where, and that's what probably doesn't make me so popular, to be honest, is I don't sell the fads, the gimmicks, the shortcuts. I sell the dedication. I sell the working hard all the time, So it makes it tough for somebody like me or I am telling people, like, this is the truth. This is what it takes to be healthy, right? And if you're going to be successful in life, or you want to achieve even more success, then step one is your health has to be the priority. That's it.
And so, thinking about that then, Zach, like, you don't, like, this is what I've really liked about you following you over the years, is that you don't give, like, a 6-week, 6-week cheat sheet or something quick. It's going to be hard. It's going to be dedicated results. And so when we say talking about our health, like, what's one, let's talk about, people always looking at, superfoods and things like that for their diet. But, like, what's a simple, basic thing you recommend to your athletes or to yourself? Like, let's say breakfast. What is a simple breakfast that is going to fuel you for the day and that's going to take care of your health?
Yeah, eggs.
Eggs.
Pretty much all the time. Yeah, pretty much all the time. Eggs might be a side, some yogurt or some fruit with that. My kids usually have eggs and toast with butter. Sometimes they have pancakes. And I'm going to tell you this too. Pancakes are not a superfood, but when I make pancakes, I go with a gluten-free pancake mix. I put 2 eggs instead of 1. Then I use organic butter on the frying pan. And here's what's interesting. If I eat my own pancakes, I feel good. Last week I had coaches with me. I do this business coaching group, and we went hiking. And then we went to this general store, and I got eggs and pancakes. And after I ate the pancakes, I felt like I needed to take a nap. And I was like, what the hell, man? I'm thinking to myself, I must have had some high wheat gluten type friggin' pancake. It was like it made me want to fall asleep. So being aware of, or not even being aware, like it's easy to say, okay, that food is shit food. I'm gonna go with the healthier option. And then here's the thing that's the simplest, and I always feel these effects when I have to, when I start commuting now to university and I wake up an hour earlier than normal. The sleep is huge. So at night, and I remember when I did my first bodybuilding show as a teenager, I was very regimented with this. And these are the days before cell phones. But I remember 11 o'clock, lights out, and it didn't even matter if I was tired or not. At age 19, you don't want to go to bed at 11. You're going to bed at midnight, 1, 2. So I would go to bed at midnight. I'd wake up at 7 a.m. And then if I didn't have, if I was in college, so if I had a later class, wake up at 7, have a protein shake, wake up at 9, and then I'd have my first real meal. So what I tell the athletes I work with is I go, the easiest things we can control are 8 to 9 hours of sleep a night and have a strong breakfast. Now, who are my most successful athletes? They're the kids that follow through on the sleep lifestyle, and they follow through on a strong breakfast. The athletes that are average, want to know what they always say? Oh, I don't have time for breakfast. Like, really? You don't have 5 minutes to scramble up 2 or 3 eggs, put in some toast, or have a cup of yogurt? You don't have 5 minutes? So it's always the person that's just coming up with a bullshit excuse that is going to be basically mediocre. They will be average until they stop accepting, pathetic excuses. Because this morning I even sent an email. I go, we all have time. When you see the president of the United States of America is working out, I'm assuming he's a little bit busier than the most of us, but he's working out 3 days a week, And yesterday, hectic day for me. Wake up around 5:15 a.m. But I had a very quiet group at the gym. Boom, I trained with them. And there's just always a way to find the time. And it could be as simple as 100 kettlebell swings. My buddy Joe, his thing is always to do 100 burpees. He doesn't mind the kind of monotonous nature of the training. I'm more of like, I'd rather do 10 burpees, 10 pull-ups, 10 swings. Do that for 5 minutes, then something else. So whatever excites you with fitness, start with that, even if it's as simple as walking and getting fresh air. So take care of your sleep and doing something small every day for your fitness. Because once you start training, it's like your body starts craving better food because that makes you feel better during your workouts. So they tend to kind of like build momentum off one another. But the sleep is huge. I can't recommend it enough. Get to bed early. My buddy Joe says something to the effect of like nothing good happens after 10 o'clock at night. That's what he says.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. Like, I've developed the habit now by 9 o'clock, everything's off, all electronics are off, and I'm like, nothing good's going to happen after that. I can get up early. And the best thing about getting up early, you do have more time in a way because no one else is awake. So that's when you do have the opportunity to go and take care of your fitness if you need to. Get rid of the hardest things first if that's one of the things that people struggle with.
I like that, shutting it all down at 9 o'clock. That's good. And that's discipline. That takes discipline.
Yeah. And so that was actually going to be one of my questions about the top 3 things you recommend. So obviously the sleep, as you said, a huge important thing, 8 to 9 hours of sleep. Getting in a good breakfast, even if it just be a couple of eggs in the morning, something simple. What is, like, when it comes to exercise then, can we share with one thing that people could do, like that you would recommend for exercise? So whether it be just taking 5 minutes a day or maybe something, keeping their exercise routine simple, because you see all these people, they want to do the latest and greatest fads, like you said, but, you stick to the basics of what works. Like, what would you recommend for one thing for exercise people can do every day?
Right, so we have body weight. So you might do push-ups one day, squats, lunges the other day, burpees the next day. Maybe the other day is mobility and some form of yoga. So it's one little thing a day. If I'm feeling like really sore, really beat up, I make sure at least that I roll out. So I've got a rumble roller here, and I do some mobility and soft tissue work, and maybe some stretching, and I'm reading The Way of the Iceman with Wim Hof, so I'll do some deep breathing. And it's like, damn, that makes me feel good. And I just did this for 5 minutes. Like right now during this interview, I'm not sitting down, I'm standing up. So especially now that I'm in my car a little more often than normal, my hips feel a little bit beat up. So I make sure that when I'm working, I'm not sitting at the desk. I'm probably 80 to 90% of the time standing. So I do these like little things, and little things add up to big successes. So it's kind of like not this one thing we could do, it's the big things. But if that's the 3, we got the sleep, You got to have a strong breakfast. If you're doing some sort of intermittent fasting, then make sure it's, your first meal is a strong lunch. And then, of course, one thing a day is we de-evolved as humans, right? Think about it. Like Jim Wendler makes the joke. He goes, we're so like lazy, and we don't have manual labor anymore. We don't work on farms, so we lift weights to create manual labor. Because back in the day, people didn't have to lift weights; they were doing manual labor, and that's kind of like the way I look at it. Like just do work, be a worker.
Yep. Whether that be 5 minutes, 10, like you said, just taking 5 minutes to do something, just to get that body moving and do some work.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, so we are coming up on time, Zach, and I just want to ask you a couple of more questions just to wrap this up. For you, what is your favorite quote? What is something that inspires you just to go and kick some ass?
Man, I got so many quotes. They're all like all over my gym wall. One of the best that I love is he is best who is trained in the severest school. That is a quote by Thucydides. He is best who is trained in the severest school. Henry Rollins says, pain is not my enemy. It is my call to greatness. And anything worth doing is worth overdoing. Moderation is for cowards. So I'm a high achiever. I push myself, and sometimes I push myself beyond, and I break down a little bit. But I'm kind of that person where I don't really, in my mind, I don't go the speed limit. I'm trying to be great. I'm not happy with, hey, I'll be good enough. So those are things that run through my mind on the regular, and sometimes that's hard to shut it off. So I don't recommend everybody has to follow those quotes, though.
But it's kind of like that last quote you're talking about. It's just getting that little bit better every day. It doesn't have to be something huge. It can just be looking to be better than you were yesterday by doing one little thing extra. Whether it be, yesterday you did 5 push-ups, today you could do 6 push-ups. Something as simple as that, right?
Yeah, it's what's so funny is like that's how you gotta trick your mind at first and just say, hey, I'm just gonna do these 10 push-ups, or if I'm watching TV, let me just get down during this commercial and do some leg raises, and then you're like, I feel better now that I did something, and then you're gonna go and it adds up. But let's just say, check this out. I tell this to my younger athletes who are new and struggling with the calisthenics. I say, wake up, do 5 squats, 5 push-ups. Do that after school and do that after dinner. I go, how many is that a day? Okay, that's 15 squats. That's 15 squats and push-ups. Okay, so what's 15 times 5, Monday through Friday? That's 75. Okay, 75 reps in a week. Now, in 1 month, 4 weeks, now we're at 300, right? 150, yep, we're at 300.
300, yep.
Now do that 12 months. What's 300 times 12? 3,600. 3,600 reps just by taking, if you do 5 squats, 5 push-ups, it'll probably take you less than 30 seconds. So in the course of a day, you're doing like a minute and a half of exercise. That really adds up, and that's how you look at this. It's a journey, it's a process versus I want my results yesterday. It just doesn't work that way. It's like a process. It is a journey.
Yeah.
It's this ongoing process that evolves, and it's a journey that, whereas people want, like what you said, now I want a 6-week this. Now, do I have programs that are 6 weeks? Yes. But it's not in 6 weeks you're going to be savage. I mean, no way. It's a lot of, it's 6 weeks times 6 years. Then now we're talking.
Yeah.
It is ongoing. Ongoing.
Of course. And it's a lot, like, people look at it like a diet type of thing, but you need to think about this, like you said, it's ongoing. It's for the rest of your life. Like, health and fitness should be an integral thing you do every day. It shouldn't be thought about as a separate compartment of your life.
It is your life.
Yeah.
Without your health, you have nothing.
You have nothing, yeah. And so where can people find more about you, Zach? Like, websites, all those type of things, because a lot of people, they need to learn more about, how they can get inspired, different things they can do. And I'd love for you to share where your Instagram, everything. Let us know.
Strong Life podcast. That would be definite recommend. And then my website, if you're listening, it's tough to kind of spell it out, but ZachEven-esh.com, or just Google Underground Strength or undergroundstrength.tv. That takes you to my blog, and you'll quickly find all the links to my social channels, and you'll be able to reach out to me like that as well.
Awesome. I'm going to link all of those in the show notes for you guys so you can access all of his stuff. Really want to make sure you guys follow his podcast because he's got some great people he talks to on there too, and it's very, very inspiring.
Yes, cool. That would be cool for people to stop by and listen.
Yeah, for sure. And I really appreciate you coming on today, Zach, and sharing your years of wisdom with us and just inspiring people to do 3 simple things, which is sleep, eat better, and just do a little bit of exercise every day. And it's just those simple things, like you said, that are going to change people's health and fitness for the long run.
Yep, that's it. Simple, no fads, no gimmicks.
Alrighty, guys. Well, that is another episode done and dusted. Thanks so much for coming on, Zach. And I will speak. You guys, all you have to do is take 3 simple actions, like we said. Keep it simple. Just improve that sleep, eat a little bit better, and exercise every day. Until next time, I'll speak to you guys then.
Cool. Bye, guys.
Hey, thanks for listening to the podcast. I really appreciate it. Before you go, can you please do me a massive favor and share this podcast with one friend or family member who you think would benefit from listening? All you have to do is open up your podcast app, click on those 3 dots next to the episode and click on Share Episode. Then you can text or email it to that friend or family member and tell them to check it out. Also, if you guys want to connect with me, I am on all social media platforms, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you want to find me, it's at TysonBPT. TysonBPT. Also, if you guys like the podcast, please go to iTunes and leave me a rating. This helps me get up the rankings and it also helps other people find me so I can help them improve their health and fitness. Once again, thanks for listening and I'll see you on the next episode.